Battlefield 6 has taken over the gaming media and live stream world by firestorm. Everyone has pretty much played and enjoyed the open beta for the game, and they are now eagerly awaiting the full game to release. However, there is one group of people who seem to be at odds with what Battlefield's community wants, and that's streamers. So, I want to talk about how streamers are refusing to understand what exactly makes Battlefield unique, and how they instead want the game to form to their vision of what makes a game successful, but in actuality, what they're demanding is only to benefit them, sadly. And I also want to talk about some cheating, so let's get into that first and then the rest of it. So firstly, there was an update on the notorious streamer Riley CS. If you remember, this was the streamer who was shooting people in the beta with laser accuracy to the point that it genuinely made zero sense. Just how they were able to pull out the things that they were doing. People said Riley was cheating. They would deny it, of course. Then the trans community came to Riley's defense because Riley is trans, I guess, claiming that anyone who pushes back against this player is transphobic now. Yeah, it was a mess. However, YouTuber Call of Shame went in and reviewed Riley's more recent going-ons and discovered that Riley has been having a lot of trouble just getting Battlefield to run properly for them when the beta was available. As Call of Shame shows here, Riley's main account was routinely either not able to connect to a game and being kicked out of a game mid-match, or the game would simply crash to desktop every single time Riley would try to play the game. The thing that was interesting about this was that Riley eventually would then swap to a secondary account to play the beta, and magically, all of these issues were suddenly resolved and they were able to play the game normally, which made people go, well, what gives then? How does two accounts working from the same IP address with the same computer specs, obviously, have two completely different outcomes gameplay-wise? The answer that Call of Shame came to was that DICE and EA likely shadow banned Riley's main account after detecting that it was using cheating software. Before I get into more about that, it was also pointed out that on Battlefield's Twitter page, besides posting updates about the game and the trailers, DICE would also at times retweet people doing cool stuff in the game, like getting cool shots off, blowing things up, Battlefield things. Yet suspiciously, despite Riley going viral during the beta for their very obvious use of aimbotting in-game, allegedly of course, DICE nor EA ever showcased Riley's gameplay or gave them a spotlight on their channels, which is weird, right? You would think if a streamer who went viral playing your game would be a very good marketing tool to promote your game even further, yet neither DICE or EA said or did anything about it. They just stayed radio silent on the whole matter, which was honestly really weird of them to do. It's almost as if DICE knew that there was something up about Riley and how they were able to shoot people so perfectly because they were cheating. Ever since, to my knowledge anyways, Riley hasn't been able to play on that main account that was used to go viral in the first place, and now has to play on this secondary one. And also, if you enjoy the content, please like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. It helps a lot, thank you, but it'll be interesting to see if the next beta ends up allowing this secondary account to work until it eventually doesn't as well. However, what was interesting is that Call of Shame then discovered that at one point, Riley's game client would crash to desktop. It then revealed the contents of what was actually on Riley's computer, as seen here at one point. There's something called Valorant logins, which is a text document that people are accusing Riley of having all of the names of their alt accounts that they play on other games. Now, why would a streamer need dozens of accounts for any one game, you might ask? The obvious answer is that most streamers likely have at least two for each game. One's their main, and another that they use to disguise themselves as a lower level player in these games as well, which they will use to farm clips by being matched against much weaker and less experienced players so they can get crazy clips where they destroy everything and it of course looks legit. But everyone that's getting smashed in those clips usually have two left hands and no idea how to play the game yet, but it's a tactic that's been used for years at this point that really isn't unique. But what Call of Shame theorizes, and others as well, is that these login sheets could also house, and this is important, macros. And I already know not everyone knows what those are, so let me explain really quickly. A macro in gaming is a series of predefined actions that then allow certain things to happen in sequence with a single button press. These can be used to execute very complex actions without any real skill or even being used to regulate more mundane tasks. For example, people use macros all the time for MMOs. They might use them for rotations of abilities in sequence when like running a dungeon in like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV or something. But more complex macros can then be used on PC anyways to give players a clear advantage over other people, hence the claim here. And the fact that Riley was not able to play on their main account but could immediately on an alt, likely because the alt account hadn't been flagged yet for using the same cheating software and more that would support this. Then a user came to Riley's defense. They're named Pingui or Pinguified as their name says, whatever, doesn't matter. But they said this: I've been around the AIM community for 5 years now. Riley CS is not cheating, and here's why. I talk about the raw clip and address common arguments for the first 8 minutes, and the rest is about how aiming has been developed as a skill in the past few years. First of all, saying you're from the AIM community is hilarious because that's not real. But also what was really interesting was that the internet then discovered that this Pinguified or Pinguify user was none other than Riley's own editor for their gaming content. And if anyone just doubts that, I mean, here's a tweet from Riley clearly stating that this user, this Pinguify person, is indeed their video editor. So yeah, that cements this claim as 100% factual truth. But what was also discovered was that this Pinguify person would then openly admit, which is crazy, dude, but here's what they said after defending this streamer that was clearly ruining the integrity of Battlefield 6. They said, I'm actually a cheat developer too, and I've been doing this for 20 years. 2 to 4 FOVs? Really? Do they think people don't have brains and don't know what that means? That would unequivocally make the flick to the rock not cheated. Oh boy, so you not only admitted to being the video editor for the person that you were protecting, this Riley person, but then you thought it was a good idea to then admit publicly that you have 20 years in experience specifically working on cheats for online multiplayer games, which Riley's being accused of. When the streamer you help is being accused by literally everyone for the thing you do and their main account can't even log into Battlefield 6 anymore, because it suspiciously, I don't know, gets locked out every single time that they try playing. Like, you guys are idiots, dude. What Call of Shame also points out is that in this list, as seen here on screen, every person listed here either defended or refused to even speak on Riley's cheating allegations when they went viral. But what's really interesting is that everyone listed has, to some capacity, been either accused themselves or proven to have been cheating in other games too. So it's a bunch of cheaters protecting a cheater from people because they got caught cheating. That's interesting, isn't it? This isn't the only streamer, ruining Battlefield 6 for others by cheating, but it is one in a long list of people who have, for many other reasons, been trying to enact their influence on this game and more. Because when it isn't people blatantly cheating and trying to ruin the experience for other people, which will then only lead to more people then using cheats themselves to combat other cheaters, the real, losers in the situation are just you and me pretty much. The people who just want to play a game for the fun of it and not have to worry about these losers who can't play games themselves, unless they're using stuff like macros and cheat engines and other software so they can seem way better than they actually are so people will watch and donate to them. But like I said, there's more, because beyond cheating, we then come to just, honestly, flat out hubris. Another video that also inspired this one is from Kingard, I think that's how you pronounce his name, but in his video, he goes over various streamers from people like Tim the Tatman, as well as people like Nick Merckx. In case you somehow don't know who these guys are, they're people who stream almost exclusively Battle Royale games, or first-person shooters, I guess. I mean, Kingard made a really good supercut of this that literally shows just this.
Battle Royale, Battle Royale, Battle Royales.
Battle Royale, or BR? BR?
BR. Battle Royale, Battle Royale.
I'm excited for the Battle Royale.
I mean...
As you can see, all these guys, all they can really think about is Battle Royale. All they want is Battle Royale, and nothing else really matters to people like them. While people like Nick Merckx or Tim the Tatman seem to enjoy Battlefield 6, what they really want is the Battle Royale mode for that game. Effectively meaning they don't really care about what's actually available in Battlefield 6 right now, to be honest. The multiplayer is secondary to them. They'll likely not even touch the campaign at all, let's be real. Instead, what they really want is that free-to-play 100 or 150 player Battle Royale mode so they can stream it to other people.
Battle Royale.
I'm excited for the Battle Royale.
Kingard makes a good point in his video, which is that companies tend to listen to people like this because of how big their audiences are. And they believe by appealing to these sorts of people, it will always lead to big success. But the point still stands that what makes Battlefield interesting and unique is that it isn't Call of Duty. I don't mean the ugly, ungodly abomination skins that Call of Duty's been putting out in their games lately, but I mean the actual meat of what the core identity of what Battlefield is. To the uninitiated, they probably look at Battlefield and go, oh, it's Call of Duty, but buildings keep blowing up, but it's obviously way more than that. Comparing Call of Duty to Battlefield isn't as simple as saying Coke or Pepsi are the same thing. Call of Duty is loved because it's more close quarters, twitchy gameplay, smaller teams, smaller maps, usually high turnover rates, spawn instantly, it's ADHD in a video game. Battlefield is more about the broad scope of it all. It's about simulating hundreds of people in a single match, charging towards a unified goal as buildings implode, cars and planes and tanks are going everywhere. And that battle of attrition as both sides push to force the other back by conquering more points. The point of Battlefield is quite literally meant to make you feel like you're in the middle of a battlefield. I mean, yeah, that's really what it's all about. That being said, what these streamers want is not necessarily what Battlefield excels at. Because again, Battlefield tried Battle Royale already with Firestorm, and when was the last time you heard anyone playing that mode? Pretty much nobody. So if Battlefield 5 could have a Battle Royale mode and have it fail pretty quickly out of the gate, how could Battlefield 6 be any different, you may be asking? Well, that's the problem. It might not be any different, but to Battlefield fans who live and breathe these games, that might be okay for them. Because honestly, Battlefield was never really meant to be a Battle Royale experience first, because again, the series is more known for simulations involving hundreds of people fighting back against one another, whereas Battle Royale is usually one person or four at best working together to just eliminate the other squads as, you know, the storm or the firestorm comes in or whatever. Call of Duty's mantra would work pretty well here, since in terms of single-player gameplay, Call of Duty has been tailor-made to excel in this individual playset, if you will, whereas Battlefield is more so about the team, the vehicles, and of course, the destructibility. They're different games, is what I'm saying. Yet what these streamers like Nick Merckx, Tim the Tadman, and such seem to want is they don't really care about the core identity of what Battlefield truly is and is trying to give them as a video game experience. Instead, it's more so that they want Battlefield to just shed its identity in favor of adhering to a design philosophy that does not necessarily play to the strengths of what Battlefield is as a franchise. As Kingard brings up in his video, and it's a great point, it seems more like these guys want Battlefield to be like Call of Duty, just because then they specifically would feel more comfortable playing it then. But at that point, if that were to happen, the same people will then cry and then claim that Battlefield isn't different enough from Call of Duty to warrant its own existence. But what these streamers don't seem to understand is the real reason they want Battlefield to be like Call of Duty is because, well, that's how they make their money, isn't it? Think about it. Streamers stream games. Duh, I know. Real epiphany there, but no, seriously, they do stream games, right? And their audience, their viewership, their watch times, their click-through rates, their RPMs, and their CPMs, which is how you get paid on YouTube, for example, is all based on how well they perform as content creators. Believe me, I deeply know these things because I do this YouTube nonsense stuff for a living, for better and for worse. So to them, they're not looking at Battlefield, or I guess even Call of Duty, as just a game. To them, they're looking at it like a job. Is this game going to hit the metrics and the qualities that they need as streamers so they can keep doing their jobs and getting the brand deals and making the money?
Royale or BR? BR?
Royale, Battle Royale!
That's the real reason why they need Battle Royale to exist and come fast and be great for something like Battlefield 6. It's not about the identity or the unique mechanics of Battlefield. It's just that this game needs Battle Royale because that's how I make my money. It then becomes more so and honestly a selfish reason than being a legit one as to why Battlefield 6 really needs a Battle Royale mode. Because if you were to ask me, and maybe other Battlefield players too, honestly, the game really doesn't need Battle Royale at all. Because what makes it unique is that it's not Call of Duty, or Fortnite, or Apex. It's Battlefield. It's sort of like how Helldivers 2 doesn't need a Battle Royale mode either. As Kingard also showed, people like Tim the Tadman played Helldivers 2 in release. But he didn't like the game very much because what its core philosophy was, which was a team-based extraction shooter where you shoot hordes of PvE enemies that didn't appeal to him, because his brain, like other streamers, have been forever warped by this concept of the Battle Royale genre. But as Kingard shows here,
Okay, I don't know how I feel about it. Looking at it, if it's a game I would like playing or making content with, comment down below and leave a like on this if you want to see it. I'll consider it.
I'm not playing the game.
The amount of people telling me to play, I swear to God, they're paying people to come into chat.
I go to someone's stream. I had to leave after 2 minutes. I can't, you're shooting aliens, man.
Video popped off. It's my most viewed video in a month. Got the most likes. So yeah, we're playing Helldivers today.
As you saw, Tim the Tadman begrudgingly plays more Helldivers 2 despite not liking it simply because it gets him views. Now, I can't claim to be holier than thou myself. I too have made content that does well because previous content on that same subject has done well too. It's all about playing to trends, I get that, but Tim's reaction to Helldivers 2 is exactly what I'm saying. The guy doesn't like anything, just like Nick Merckx and the legions of other streamers like them, if the games they play are not the core of what their channels are all about.
You're kind of gatekeeping the whole game from people that love battle royales.
It's why you're not going to see these guys playing a story-based RPG on their channel, or like a puzzle game or something. It's just battle royale, shoot, 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 farm the clips, get the editor to turn it into a viral moment, shoot some more, battle royale, buy the bundle, rinse and repeat. I'm just halfway convinced that these yearly releases for Call of Duty and such are being pushed because of streamers like this. It's almost as if these guys need a new Call of Duty every single year to simply justify their audiences watching and listening. I'm not hating on these guys either, by the way. I think it's totally fine to play what you want to play and seek out experiences similar to what you want. It's why I love playing Souls-likes, because I love the idea and the gameplay loop behind those sorts of games. There's nothing wrong with that. But at least I'm not going to abandon or flat out not play another game simply because it isn't a Souls-like or, it needs to be like that. Like, imagine me playing Battlefield 6 and going, I don't know, man, I like it, but where's the Estus flask? Where's the big boss fights? Why can't I use swords, I mean, tanks are cool, but where's the horses? Why can't I make a strength or bleed build? You know what would make this game better? If it had invasions or like the ability to use magic. At that point, you'd just be like, dude, go play different games. Because this isn't for you, clearly. Yet for these streamers, that's not really an option.
You're kind of gatekeeping the whole game from people that love battle royales.
Because they know that if they don't play whatever is the most popular shooter at that time, views and revenues will drop, and well, we can't have that.
Thing I would say to everyone that's saying, oh, Battlefield doesn't need a BR, we don't need a BR. There's another game that said the same thing. And that game isn't doing that hot.
So instead, what they need is every game to effectively be the same thing that works for them, or it's trash now. But this then just creates a homogeneous amongst video games, if you will, and just further dilutes and blurs the lines between these core franchises. Instead of every game being unique, they now all need to be the same, because Tim or Nick need to stream it as well as thousands of other content creators who all do the same thing. But what they don't seem to realize is they are limiting not only themselves, but the games that exist in this space, because now every game that does exist needs to adhere to these core design philosophies going forward. Because if they don't do a battle royale, then these guys won't stream it. And if our game isn't trending on Twitch, we're all going to lose our jobs and our game will tank. So this ends up creating this miasma where everything just spins around and around until it all becomes a blur of mush. And it suddenly means that every game must now reject their core identity in favor of just being like everything else that's out there, or they'll die.
You're kind of gatekeeping the whole game from people that love battle royales.
But with the market already heavily oversaturated by battle royale games, the answer is always, well, those battle royales are just not good enough, that's why. And if they were, they would still exist and do well, but in actuality, no matter how many new battle royales really get made, these guys at the top of the food chain will always revert back to the same games as always. They could make 100 battle royales right now and release them tomorrow. Tim the Tadman is still going to play Call of Duty over all of them due to brand recognition alone, all because there's money to be made. I mean, for God's sakes, Tim, for example, has his own bundle and skin in Call of Duty. Of course he's going to exclusively only play Warzone pretty much. I mean, Nick Merckx had a bundle, but due to that controversy a while back where Nick said that the LGBT plus people need to leave kids alone, that skin got removed, which was stupid, but it happened. And then, yet despite Nick claiming that he would never play Call of Duty again after they removed his bundle, the guy still came back and started playing Call of Duty anyways. And has since been playing Warzone routinely and all that stuff, because I guess the loss of revenue really wasn't worth the statement clearly. And Nick's skin was also never really reinstated, but he plays regardless because, again, these guys just, rely on Battle Royale for literally everything. I guess Tim or Nick would be more inclined to play Battlefield 6 if DICE put them in their games too so they can make money that way as well, but the point still stands that these sorts of streamers, again, I don't hate them or anything, are one of the reasons why first-person shooter games can never truly evolve in an online space. After all, I even went to go look to see if Tim or Nick had played other more recent shooters, like, I don't know, Doom the Dark Ages maybe. Of course, to my unsurprising discovery, they have not played it. Maybe they would if it had a battle royale, but you get the point. This obsession with battle royale is crippling the space, and these types are tearing games apart when they're not exactly like the other games that they already play. So the only reason that you would want Call of Duty and Battlefield to feel indistinguishable from one another is simple. One is your skill in one game could translate to the other. And the other is that if you're a streamer, it's because, money. That's all it really ever is. And honestly, that's kind of sad to see. Because so many other Call of Duty titles feel hampered or simply just exist to funnel people back into Warzone. And I am worried that the same exact scenario could be happening to Battlefield as well. After all, like I said in my previous video on Battlefield, DICE and EA are currently working behind the scenes to turn Battlefield into a yearly franchise, just like Call of Duty, as PC Gamer puts it here. Analyst says EA plans to milk Battlefield for everything it's worth. Their goal is 3 studios making Battlefield on a 3-year basis so they can get to Battlefield annually. This news comes from Michael Pachter, a game industry analyst who has worked in the space for decades, who said this: "I talked to Byron Bede, good dude, former Activision guy, worked at Infinity Ward with Vince Impella. He's running the Battlefield franchise, and their goal is 3 studios making Battlefield on a 3-year basis so they can get to Battlefield annually. He said it's going to take 5 or 6 years before they get 2 in a row, so we're not going to get there for a while. As I discussed in my other video on this very topic, I think this will just lead to pure market saturation for both Call of Duty and Battlefield before long. Because quantifying 2 mega first-person shooter releases that try to do similar things, both releasing new games every year, is just going to lead to burnout of both fans and developers alike. But if you're a streamer who only plays Call of Duty, or I guess Battlefield as well soon, this is going to be music to your ears. Because now every year you get new updates you get to stream and play so you can keep making your money, but eventually it will come to a point where this just reaches overload. Because then we will have 2 different battle royales constantly fighting, one dying over the other if one side makes a mistake, only to flip the other way when they get on top and then the other one falters. And then the same consumer base flip-flopping between these franchises on a yearly basis. It doesn't leave much room for other games to, even exist in a similar space. And will also just lead to any future online multiplayer shooter games just copying as close as they can to just being like Battlefield or Call of Duty. Meaning that we're just going to have copycats of copycats copying one another so that the streamers don't get angry and the same finite amount of player retention gets tossed around from one franchise to the next when they just get bored. Honestly, it just sounds bleak to me. I'm so glad I play more than just first-person battle royale games myself, because it just seems like such a mundane space to exist in for the rest of perpetuity like this. I would go honestly insane if all I played was Call of Duty or Battlefield. Don't get me wrong, these games are fun to a degree. But if I only played those every day for like years until the next one releases and that's it, it'd probably just stop me playing games altogether at that point. But to these streamers, it's their lifeblood, it's their revenue, their identity, their reason to exist. So to them, it needs to be this way. But with these companies so hell-bent on ensuring that these streamer types play their games no matter what, is just going to lead to everything, and I mean everything, playing, looking, and feeling the exact same. And then the streamers will complain, oh, everything is boring, it's all the same, when they were a big reason why these companies can't take a chance with literally anything anyways. Because if the shooting is changed, if the Battle Royale mode isn't supported enough, or hell, if they try to make a new mode instead, the same people will nip at the studio's heels like they're rabid dogs. Where's our Battle Royale update? Why isn't there more guns? Give me more things to chase. Why aren't there enough daily challenges? The weekly challenges aren't enough, and then this gets exasperated by these top streamers, who these developers need to listen to because they're advertising their game to a large, eager audience every single day. So where does this all lead us to? Right now, the bottom of the pit, to be honest with you, is just going to be this waltz of Call of Duty and Battlefield, duking it out like 2 titans for the rest of time, I guess, until we're all old and gray and turn into dust. Maybe by then, Tim the Tadman and Nick Merckx will have uploaded their consciousness into AI and they'll become robots. They can, stream every single day forever. And in like 50 years, the actual Tim and Nick and all the other streamers lie dead in coffins because they gotta get that Battle Royale fix, death be damned. Am I being a bit cynical? Absolutely, but hey, that's how I am. It wouldn't be me if I wasn't poking fun and putting a little cynical twist on the usual doomsday predictions. Who knows? Maybe the Earth will get hit by an asteroid, and we'll all be atomized into nothingness, but Tim and Nick will be uploaded to a computer probably and then shot into space so they can live stream for the alien races for the rest of time. Until their shuttle malfunctions and then they inevitably get pulled into the gravity of a neighboring planet, or I don't know, maybe the sun. And then, and only then, can a Battle Royale as a concept finally truly die. But until that very specific, unlikely scenario happens, I guess every AAA shooter is just going to look and feel the exact same and prove that these streamers especially clearly do not understand what makes Battlefield what it is. It's not about jumping from a plane and then hitting the gritty as you shoot Snoop Dogg in the head wearing your Beavis and Butthead skin that you bought for $20. Battlefield is about the army, the war of attrition, and the conquest of gigantic maps. Frankly, it's the exact opposite of Call of Duty and Battle Royale if I'm being honest. But if DICE wants to exist, it seems like they may just need to sacrifice parts of their own soul so that not only the players show up, but so too do the streamers who play these games so their numbers stay healthy. But what do you think? Is Battlefield at risk of being overdone slop like Call of Duty in the future? Are streamers a big reason or a nothing symptom? Let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, subscribe, take care of yourselves. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go play Mafia Definitive Edition, a single player game, and I'll see you guys next time.